Hello. Last time we discussed about environment and health and our main focus was on water. What is safe and wholesome water? What is potable water? What are different sources of water? Today we will be focusing on water purification. The contents that will be covered are water purification on a large scale, water purification on a small scale. Purification of water. It is of great importance in community medicine. It may be considered under two headings. First, on a large scale. Second, on a small scale. Purification of water on a large scale. The purpose of water treatment is to produce water that is safe and wholesome. The method of treatment to be employed depends upon the nature of raw water and the desired standards of water quality. For example, groundwater, example wells and springs, may need no treatment other than disinfection. Surface water, example river water, which tends to be turbid and polluted, requires extensive treatment. The components of a typical water purification system comprise one or more of the following measures: storage, filtration, disinfection. Storage. Water is drawn out from the source and impounded in natural or artificial reservoirs. Storage provides a reserve of water from which further pollution is excluded. As a result of storage, a very considerable amount of purification takes place. This is natural purification, and we may look at it from 3 points of view. First, physical. By mere storage, the quality of water improves. About 90% of the suspended impurities settle down in 24 hours by gravity. The water becomes clearer. This allows penetration of light and reduces the work of the filters. Second, chemical. Certain chemical changes also take place during storage. The aerobic bacteria oxidize the organic matter present in the water with the aid of dissolved oxygen. Third, biological. A tremendous drop takes place in a bacterial count during storage. The pathogenic organisms gradually die out. The optimum period of storage of river water is considered to be about 10 to 14 days. If the water is stored for long periods, there is likelihood of development of vegetable growth such as algae, which impart a bad smell and color to water. Filtration. Filtration is the second stage in the purification of water and quite an important stage because 98 to 99% of the bacteria are removed by filtration. Two types of filters are in use. The first, biological or slow sand filters, and the rapid or mechanical filters. A brief description of these filters is ahead. Slow sand filters. They were first used for water treatment in 1804 in Scotland and subsequently in London. Even today, they are generally accepted as the standard method of water purification. What are the elements of a slow sand filter? First, supernatant or raw water. Second, a bed of graded sand. Third, an under drainage system. Fourth, a system of filter control valves. What you see here is a diagram of a slow sand filter. This is raw water. This is the sand bed which is beneath the raw water. The raw water flows down to the sand bed to the porous bottom through which it reaches the valves, and through that it is supplied. Now we discuss all the layers of a slow sand filter. First, supernatant water. The supernatant water above the sand bed, whose depth varies from 1 to 1.5 meter, serves two important purposes. First, it provides a constant head of water so as to overcome the resistance of the filter bed and thereby promote the downward flow of water through the sand bed. Secondly, it provides a waiting period of some hours, approximately 3 to 12, for the raw water to undergo partial purification by sedimentation, oxidation and particle agglomeration. The level of supernatant water is always kept constant. Sand bed. The most important part of the filter is the sand bed. The thickness of the sand bed is 1 meter. Sand grains have an effective diameter of between 0.2 and 0.3 millimeters. The sand should be clean and free from clay and organic matter. The sand bed is supported by a layer of graded gravel, 30 to 40 centimeter deep, which also prevents the fine grains being carried into the drainage pipes. As you can see in the diagram, the first layer is of the filter sand, which is followed by coarse sand, fine gravel and coarse gravel. As we move from top to bottom, the diameter of the sand particles is increasing. And the benefit of this is the top layer of the filter sand will not flow away because of the flow of the water. The sand bed presents a vast surface area. 1 cubic meter of filter sand presents some 15,000 meter squares of surface area. Water percolates through the sand bed very slowly, and as it does so, it is subjected to a number of purification processes: mechanical straining, sedimentation, adsorption, oxidation and bacterial action, all playing their part. The designed rate of filtration of water normally lies between 0.1 and 0.5 meter cube per hour per meter square of the sand bed surface. An important question for you guys: the rate of filtration of water purification in a slow sand filter. Vital layer. When the filter is newly laid, it acts merely as a mechanical strainer and cannot truly be considered as biological. But very soon, the surface of the sand bed gets covered with a slimy growth known as sugar stick. Vital layer, zoogle layer or biological layer. This layer is slimy and gelatinous and consists of thread-like algae and numerous forms of life including plankton, diatoms and bacteria. The formation of vital layer is known as ripening of the filter. It may take several days for the vital layer to form fully, and when fully formed, it extends for 2 to 3 centimeter into the top portion of the sand bed. The vital layer is the heart of the slow sand filter. It removes organic matter, holds back bacteria, and oxidizes a molecule nitrogen into nitrate and helps in yielding a bacteria-free water. Until the vital layer is fully formed, the first few days filtrate is usually run to waste. Under drainage system. At the bottom of the filter bed is the under drainage system. It consists of porous or perforated pipes which serves the dual purpose of providing an outlet for filtered water and supporting the filter medium above. Once the filter bed has been laid, the under drainage system cannot be seen. Filter box. The first 3 elements are contained in the filter box. The filter box is an open box, usually rectangular in shape, from 2.5 to 4 meter deep, and is built wholly or partly below ground. The walls may be made of stone, brick or cement. The filter box consists, very important, from top to bottom: supernatant water 1 to 1.5 meter, sand bed 1.2 meters, gravel support 0.30 meter, filter bottom 0.16 meter. Filter control. The filter is equipped with certain valves and devices which are incorporated in the outlet pipe system. The purpose of these devices is to maintain a constant rate of filtration. An important component of the regulation system is the venturi meter, which measures the bed resistance or loss of head. When the resistance builds up, the operator opens the regulating valve so as to maintain a steady rate of filtration. When the loss of head exceeds 1.3 meter, it is uneconomical to run the filter. Filter cleaning. Normally, the filter may run for weeks or even months without cleaning. When the bed resistance increases to such an extent that the regulating valve has to be kept fully open, it is time to clean the filter bed, since any further increase in resistance is bound to reduce the filtration rate. At this stage, the supernatant water is drained off and the sand bed is cleaned by scraping off the top portion of the sand layer to a depth of 1 or 2 centimeter. This operation may be carried out by unskilled laborers using hand tools or by mechanical equipment. After several years of operation and say 20 or 50 scrapings, the thickness of the sand bed will have reduced to about 0.5 to 0.8 meter. Then the plant is closed down and a new bed is constructed. What are the advantages of a slow sand filter? First, simple to construct and operate. Second, the cost of construction is cheaper. Third, the physical, chemical and bacteriological quality of filtered water is very high. Moving on to rapid sand or mechanical filters. In 1885, the first rapid sand filters were installed in the USA. Since that time, they have gained considerable popularity, especially in highly industrialized countries. Rapid sand filters are of two types: the gravity type, example Peterson's filter, and the pressure type, example Candy's filter. Both the types are in use. The following steps are involved in the purification of water by rapid sand filters. We'll come to this diagram after we have discussed the steps involved. First, coagulation. The raw water is first treated with the chemical coagulant such as alum, the dose of which varies from 5 to 40 mg or more per liter, depending upon the turbidity and color, temperature, and the pH value of the water. Second, rapid mixing. The treated water is then subjected to violent agitation in a mixing chamber for a few minutes. This allows a quick and thorough dissemination of alum throughout the bulk of the water, which is very necessary. Third, flocculation. The next phase involves a slow and gentle stirring of the treated water in a flocculation chamber for about 30 minutes. The mechanical type of flocculator is the most widely used. This slow and gentle stirring results in the formation of a thick, copious, white flocculent precipitate of aluminum hydroxide. The thicker the precipitate or floc diameter, the greater the settling velocity. Fourth, sedimentation. The coagulated water is now led into the sedimentation tanks, where it is retained for periods varying from 2 to 6 hours, when the flocculent precipitate together with impurities and bacteria settle down in the tank. For proper maintenance, the tanks should be cleaned regularly from time to time, otherwise they may become a breeding ground for mollusks and sponges. Fifth, filtration. The partly clarified water is now subjected to rapid sand filtration. Filter beds. Each unit of filter bed has a surface of about 80 to 90 meters square. Sand is the filtering medium. The effective size of the sand particles is between 0.4 to 0.7 millimeters. The depth of the sand bed is usually about 1 meter. Below the sand bed is a layer of graded gravel, 30 to 40 centimeter is the particle size, and it is around 1 to 1.5 feet deep. The gravel supports the sand bed and permits the filtered water to move freely towards the under drains. This is somewhat similar to what we have seen in a slow sand filter. The depth of the water on the top of the sand bed is 1 to 1.5 meter. The under drains at the bottom of the filter bed collect the filter water. The rate of filtration is 5 to 15 meter cube per meter square per hour, as compared to the rate of filtration of a slow sand filter. It was only 0.1 to 0.5 meter cube per meter square per hour. Going back to the diagram, as you can see, the raw water has first come into a mixing chamber, followed by a flocculation tank, then a settling tank, which further leads to disinfection by chlorination, which we will cover up in the following topics. Filtration. As filtration proceeds, the alum floc not removed by sedimentation is held back on the sand bed. It forms a slimy layer comparable to the Zugli layer. In the slow sand filters, it absorbs bacteria from the water and effects purification. As filtration proceeds, the suspended impurities and bacteria clog the filters. The filters soon become dirty and begin to lose their efficiency. When the loss of head approaches 7 to 8 feet, filtration is stopped and the filters are subjected to a washing process known as backwashing. Backwashing. Rapid sand filters need frequent washing daily or weekly, depending upon the loss of head. Washing is accomplished by reversing the flow of water through the sand bed, which is called backwashing. This dislodges the impurities and cleans up the sand bed. The washing is stopped when clear sand is visible and the wash water is sufficiently clear. The whole process of washing takes about 15 minutes. In some rapid sand filters, compressed air is used as a part of the backwashing process. What are the advantages of a rapid sand filter over the slow sand filter? First, the rapid sand filter can deal with raw water directly. No preliminary storage is needed. Second, the filter beds occupy less space. Third, filtration is rapid, 40 to 50 times that of a slow sand filter. Fourth, the washing of the filter is easy. Fifth, there is more flexibility in operation. Can you draw a comparison between slow and rapid sand filters based on the following points? Disinfection. For a chemical or an agent to be potentially useful as a disinfectant in water supplies, it has to satisfy the following criteria. First, it should be capable of destroying the pathogenic organisms present within the contact time available and not unduly influenced by the range of physical and chemical properties of water encountered, particularly temperature, pH and mineral constituents. Second, should not leave products of reaction which render the water toxic or impart color or otherwise make it unpotable. Third, have ready and dependable availability at reasonable cost, permitting convenient, safe and accurate application of water. Fourth, be amenable to detection by practical, rapid and simple analytical techniques in the small concentration ranges to permit the control of the efficiency of the disinfection process. Chlorination. Chlorination is one of the greatest advances in water purification. It is a supplement, not a substitute to sand filtration. Chlorine kills pathogenic bacteria, but it has no effect on spores and certain viruses, except in high doses. Apart from its germicidal effect, chlorine has several important secondary properties of value in water treatment. It oxidizes iron, manganese, and hydrogen sulfide. It destroys some taste and odor producing constituents. It controls algae and slime organisms and aids coagulation. What is the action of chlorine? When chlorine is added to water, there is formation of hydrochloric acid and hypochlorous acids. The hydrochloric acid is neutralized by the alkalinity of water. The hypochlorous acid ionizes to form hydrogen ions and hypochlorite ions as follows. The disinfecting action of chlorine is mainly due to the hypochlorous acid. Chlorine acts best as a disinfectant when the pH of water is around 7 because of the predominance of the hypochlorous acid. When the pH value exceeds 8.5, it is unreliable as a disinfectant because about 90% of the hypochlorous acid gets ionized to hypochlorite ions. Principles of chlorination. There are certain rules which should be obeyed in order to ensure proper chlorination. First of all, the water to be chlorinated should be clear and free from turbidity. Turbidity impedes efficient chlorination. Second, the chlorine demand of water should be estimated. Now, what is the chlorine demand of water? It is the difference between the amount of chlorine added to the water and the amount of residual chlorine remaining at the end of a specific period of contact, usually 60 minutes at a given temperature and pH of the water. In other words, it is the amount of chlorine that is needed to destroy bacteria and to oxidize all the organic matter and ammoniacal substances present in the water. The point at which the chlorine demand of the water is met is called the break point. If further chlorine is added beyond the break point, free chlorine begins to appear in the water. Third, the contact period. The presence of free residual chlorine for a contact period of at least 1 hour is essential to kill bacteria and viruses. Fourth, the minimum recommended concentration of free chlorine is 0.5 milligrams per liter for 1 hour. The free residual chlorine provides a margin of safety against subsequent microbial contamination such as may occur during storage and distribution. Fifth, the sum of the chlorine demand of the specific water plus the free residual chlorine of 0.5 milligrams per liter constitutes the correct dose of chlorine to be applied. Method of chlorination. For disinfecting large bodies of water, chlorine is applied either as chlorine gas, chloramine or perchloron. Chlorine gas is the first choice because it is cheap, quick in action, efficient and easy to apply. Since chlorine gas is an irritant to the eyes and poisonous, a special equipment known as chlorinating equipment is required to apply chlorine gas to water supplies. Second, chloramines are loose compounds of chlorine and ammonia. They have a less tendency to produce chlorinous taste and give a more persistent type of residual chlorine. The greatest drawback of chloramines is that they have a slower action than chlorine, and therefore they are not being used to any great extent in water treatment. Perchloron or high-test hypochlorite HTH is a calcium compound which carries 60 to 70% of available chlorine. Solutions prepared from HTH are also used for water disinfection. Chlorine gas has replaced all the other chlorine derivatives in the disinfection of urban water supplies. Moving on to other agents. What are different kinds of other agents that we can use for disinfection? While chlorine continues to be the most commonly used sterilizing agent because of its germicidal properties and the comparatively low cost and ease of application, its preeminence in water disinfection is being seriously challenged because of the discovery that chlorination of water can lead to the formation of many halogenated compounds, some of which are either known or suspected carcinogens. As a result, many chlorine alternatives are receiving renewed interest. These include bromine, bromine chloride, iodine, and chlorine dioxide. But these do not seem to present a viable alternative to chlorine at the present time. Ozone is showing the greatest promise, and ultraviolet irradiation's limited usefulness as complementary agents for chlorine in water disinfection. We will be studying some other agents in detail in further slides. First, ozonation. Ozone is a powerful oxidant and has many uses in water treatment, including oxidation of organic chemicals. Ozone can be used as a primary disinfectant. Ozone gas is formed by passing dry air or oxygen through a high voltage electric field. The resultant ozone-enriched air is dosed directly into the water by means of porous diffusers at the base of baffled contactor tanks. The contactor tanks, typically about 5 meters deep, provide 10 to 20 minutes of contact time. The performance of ozonation relies on achieving the desired concentration after a given contact period. For oxidation of organic chemicals such as oxidizable pesticides, a residual of about 0.5 mg per liter after a contact time of up to 20 minutes is typically used. The doses required to achieve this vary with the type of water but are typically in the range 2 to 5 mg per liter. Higher doses are needed for untreated water because of the ozone demand of the natural background organics. Next, membrane processes. The membrane processes of most significance in water treatment are reverse osmosis, ultrafiltration, microfiltration and nanofiltration. These processes have traditionally been applied to the production of water for industrial or pharmaceutical applications, but are now being applied to the treatment of drinking water. First, high pressure processes. If two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, the solvent will naturally pass from the lower concentration solution to the higher concentration solution. This process, as we all know, is called as osmosis. It is possible, however, to force the flow of solvent in the opposite direction, from the higher to the lower concentration, by increasing the pressure on the higher concentration solution. This process is known as reverse osmosis, and the required pressure differential is known as the osmotic pressure. Reverse osmosis results in the production of a treated water stream and a relatively concentrated waste stream. Typically, operating pressures are in the range 15 to 50 bar depending on the application. Reverse osmosis rejects monovalent ions and organics of molecular weight greater than about 50 daltons. The most common application of reverse osmosis is desalination of brackish water and seawater. Nanofiltration uses a membrane with properties between those of reverse osmosis and ultrafiltration membranes. Pore sizes are typically 0.001 to 0.01 micrometers. Nanofiltration membranes allow monovalent ions such as sodium or potassium to pass but reject a high proportion of divalent ions such as calcium and magnesium. Operating pressures are typically about 5 bar. Nanofiltration may be effective for the removal of color-forming organic compounds also. Second, lower pressure processes. Ultrafiltration is similar in principle to reverse osmosis, but the membranes have much larger pore sizes and operate at lower pressures. Ultrafiltration membranes reject organic molecules of molecular weight above 800 daltons and usually operate at about a pressure less than 5 bar. Microfiltration is a direct extension of conventional filtration into the sub-micrometer range. Microfiltration membranes have pore sizes typically in the range of 0.01 to 12 micrometer and do not separate molecules but reject colloidal and suspended material at operating pressures of 1 to 2 bar. Microfiltration is capable of sieving out particles greater than 0.05 micrometers. It has been used for water treatment in combination with coagulation or PAC to remove particulates and some dissolved organic carbon prior to reverse osmosis membrane and to improve permeate flux. So far we have discussed purification of water on large scale. Now we will be discussing purification of water on small scale. First, household purification of water. 3 methods are generally available for purifying water on an individual or domestic scale. These methods can be used singly or in combination. First, boiling. Boiling is a satisfactory method of purifying water for household purposes. To be effective, the water must be brought to a rolling boil for 10 to 20 minutes. It kills all bacteria, spores, cysts and ova and yields sterilized water. Boiling also removes temporary hardness by driving off carbon dioxide and precipitating the calcium carbonate. The taste of water is altered, but this is harmless. While boiling is an excellent method of purifying water, it offers no residual protection against subsequent microbial contamination, and this can be considered as a disadvantage of boiling. Water should be boiled preferably in the same container in which it is to be stored to avoid contamination during storage. Next, chemical disinfection. There are many methods of chemical disinfection. The first chemical that we can use is bleaching powder, also known as chlorinated lime. It is a white amorphous powder with a pungent smell of chlorine. When freshly made, it contains about 33% of available chlorine. It is, however, an unstable compound. On exposure to air, light and moisture, it rapidly loses its chlorine content. But when mixed with excess of lime, it retains its strength. This is called as stabilized bleach. Bleaching powder should be stored in a dark, cool, dry place in a closed container that is resistant to corrosion. The chlorine content of bleaching powder stocks should be frequently checked. The principle of chlorination is to ensure a free residual chlorine of 0.5 mg per liter at the end of 1 hour contact. Highly polluted and turbid waters are not suited for direct chlorination. Second is chlorine solution. Chlorine solution may be prepared from bleaching powder. Ready-made chlorine solutions in different strengths are also available in the market. Like bleaching powder, the chlorine solution is subject to losses on exposure to light or on prolonged storage. The solution should be kept in a dark, cool and dry place in a closed container. If 4 kg of bleaching powder with 25% available chlorine is mixed with 20 liters of water, it will give a 5% solution of chlorine. The next chemical that you can use is a high-test hypochlorite or perchloron. It is a calcium compound which contains 60 to 70% available chlorine. It is more stable than bleaching powder and deteriorates much less on storage. Solutions prepared from HTH are also used for water disinfection. The fourth chemical disinfectant that we can use is chlorine tablets. Under various trade names, also known as halazone tablets, are available in the market. They are quite good for disinfecting small quantities of water, but they are costly. That is their only disadvantage. Iodine. Iodine may be used for emergency disinfection of water. 2 drops of 2% ethanol solution of iodine will suffice for 1 liter of clear water. A contact time of 20 to 30 minutes is needed for effective disinfection. Iodine is unlikely to become a municipal water supply disinfectant in a broad sense. High costs and the fact that the element is physiologically active are its major disadvantages. The sixth disinfectant that we can use is potassium permanganate. Once widely used, it is no longer recommended for water disinfection. Although a powerful oxidizing agent, it is not a satisfactory agent for disinfecting water. It may kill cholera vibrios, but is of little use against other disease organisms. It has other drawbacks too, such as altering the color, smell and taste of water. So far we have discussed 2 ways of purification of water on household level, boiling and chemical disinfection. Now we will take into consideration filtration. Water can be purified on a small scale by filtering through ceramic filters such as Chamberlain filter, Bergfeld filter and Catadin filter. The essential part of a filter is the candle, which is made of porcelain in the Chamberlain type and of infusorial earth in the Bergfeld filter. In the Catadin filter, the surface of the filter is coated with a silver catalyst so that bacteria coming in contact with the surface are killed by the oligodynamic action of the silver ions, which are liberated into the water. Filter candles of the fine type usually remove bacteria found in drinking water. Filter candles are liable to be blocked with impurities and bacteria. They should be cleaned by scrubbing with a hard brush under running water and boiled at least once a week. Only clean water should be used with ceramic filters. Although ceramic filters are effective in purifying water, they are not quite suitable for widespread use under Indian conditions. Ultraviolet radiation. Germicidal property of UV rays have been recognized for many years. UV irradiation is effective against most microorganisms known to contaminate water supplies like bacteria, yeast, viruses, fungi, algae, protozoa, etc. This method of disinfection involves the exposure of a film of water up to about 120 mm thick to one or several quartz mercury arc lamps emitting UV radiation at a wavelength of 254 nanometer. Applications are limited to individual or institutional systems. The water should be free from turbidity and suspended or colloidal constituents for efficient disinfection. The advantages are that the exposure is for a short period, no foreign matter introduced and no taste and odor produced. Overexposure does not result in any harmful effects. The disadvantages are that no residual effect is available and there is a lack of a rapid field test for assessing the treatment efficiency. Moreover, the apparatus needed is expensive. Multi-stage reverse osmosis purification of water. Multi-stage reverse osmosis purification process is used to make water both chemically and microbiologically potable by reducing the total dissolved solids, hardness, heavy metals, and disease-causing bacteria, virus, protozoa, and cysts. The clarity cartridge removes the suspended particles such as dust, mud, and sand from the water. The reverse osmosis cartridge reduces the total dissolved solids, hardness, heavy metals like arsenic, lead, mercury, and eliminates microorganisms. So far we discussed purification of water on a small scale, specifically household purification of water. Now we will discuss disinfection of wells. Wells are the main source of water supply in the rural areas. The need often arises to disinfect them, sometimes on a mass scale during epidemics of cholera and gastroenteritis. The most effective and cheapest method of disinfecting wells is by bleaching powder. The double pot method. During an emergency, it is desirable to ensure a constant dosage of chlorine to well water. Several simple and effective methods have been devised for this purpose, of which the pot method of chlorination is one which has been used with success in various countries. The double pot method is an improvement devised by the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, also known as NEERI, Nagpur. This method uses two cylindrical pots, one placed inside the other. The inside height and diameter are 30 cm and 25 cm respectively for the outer pot. A hole 1 cm in diameter is made in each pot. In the inner pot, the hole is in the upper portion near the rim, and in the outer pot it is 4 cm above the bottom. As you can see in the diagram, you can see two pots. The outer pot has the hole 4 cm above the bottom. This one. Whereas in the inner pot, the hole is 2 cm below the top. Now this whole pot is inserted into the well. A mixture of 1 kg of bleaching powder and 2 kg of coarse sand is prepared and slightly moistened with water. The inner pot is filled with this mixture up to 3 cm below the level of the hole. The inner pot is introduced into the outer one, and the mouth of the latter closed with polyethylene foil. The use of two pots makes it possible to have larger holes without the risk of over-chlorination. The double pot is lowered into the well by means of a rope attached to the well curb. The pot should be immersed at least 1 meter below the water level to prevent damage by the buckets used for drawing water. It has been found that this device works satisfactorily for 2 to 3 weeks in small household wells containing about 4,500 liters of water and having a draw-off rate of 360 to 440 liters per day. With this, we bring an end to the topic of purification of water, both on a large scale and on a small scale. Thank you.